Now, here is a fun part. This book talks, third point, about death and the brevity of life, like no other book except Job. Number one, he teaches earthly life is short. Ecclesiastes 12:7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit, listen, shall return to the God who gave it. See, Ecclesiastes is full of divine revelation. He said, human beings, opposed to the animals, human beings have a body made of the dust of the dirt of the earth, just like animals do. But they have a spirit that will return back to God and face God someday in judgment. Earthly life, secondly, not only is short, but it's terminal. Listen to Ecclesiastes 5:15. As he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came, and he shall take nothing from his labor which he may carry in his hand. Remember I told you there's only one thing we can take with us? People. We need to work for things that aren't terminal. And we can't take our work with us, so we should drop our work sometime and invest for eternity. Thirdly, earthly life is unpredictable. And another truth from this book, Ecclesiastes 9:12 says this, for man also does not know his time, like fish taken in a cruel net, like birds caught in a snare, so the sons of men are... See, if you're living under the sun, and if all your perspective is that the earth is all there is, then life is very unpredictable. You ever meet people like that? They go, man, I just don't know what's happening. This happened, my life's falling apart. And apart from Christ, you cannot see that God is orchestrating the events of our life. Bonnie and I have a part of our life where we reflect back, and we have this little journal, and every year, we sit down and we look back at the year past. And what's interesting, and we were just talking about this last week, we look back at things that we could not explain. We prayed and prayed about stuff, and the Lord had something happen, and we looked and we thought, that's not what we wanted to happen. But then 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later, we look back and we say, wow, aren't we glad we left the choice to the Lord? That's exactly what we needed to happen in that situation. And that's what our perspective, not under the sun, but from God's terms, is that earthly life for an unbeliever is unpredictable, and for a Christian not in concert with God, it's unpredictable. But for those walking with the Lord, God is orchestrating it. Number 4, earthly life under the sun seems to end like the animals. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes 3:19. For what happens to the son of men, Solomon said, also happens to animals. One thing befalls them. As one dies, so dies the other. Sure, all have one breath, and man has no advantage over animals, for all is vanity. What's he saying there? He's saying that apart from knowing your Creator, you feel like an animal. What do we call that? They teach it every day in science class in schools all over our country. You call it evolution. You call it the fact that all of us just climbed out of the dust or out of the slime, and we're all part of the animals. And so we all go to the same place. And that's what human wisdom is. It's not from God. It's from the earth. And it leads back to a view that life is nothing but the animals. Finally, letter E. Earthly life ends in dust, but death doesn't end at all. And so all of us are going to go back to the dust. To the dust we return as it was, and the spirit return to God, because death doesn't end at all. Fourth area it talks about is pleasure in living life. I think this is something, I meet some Christians who think that Christians aren't supposed to have fun. Have you ever met that? Penny Plain, Wanda Wallflower. And I don't have anything against the Puritans. I love their theology. But some Christians do not allow the joy of the Lord to be their strength. They think pleasure is wrong, and you're supposed to be real stiff. Listen to this, Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 13. And also every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor, for this is the gift of God. Pleasure is a gift from God. God said that we are to enjoy life. Pleasure is okay. And there's a lot in this book about the joy of pleasure. Not lustful pleasure and not unrighteous pleasure, but just pleasure is a good gift from God.